Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel, thank you. Today is explanation of Martial Universe episode number 33 based on novel. So let's start. Lin Dong. Inside the steel cage, Mo Ti and the rest's eyes abruptly widened. Promptly, their bodies gently trembled as they stared at the figure with a complicated expression in their eyes. Even though they knew that Lin Dong was partially responsible for the predicament they were in, none of them genuinely blamed him. That was because from the start, all of them had planned to borrow Lin Dong's strength in order to enter Thunder Granite Valley, and Lin Dong had indeed fulfilled their wishes and brought them in, while even allowing them to reap plentiful rewards. This was a mutually beneficial partnership, and having benefited, they would naturally have to pay a price as well. Therefore, even though they were secretly disappointed deep in their hearts by Lin Dong's absence in the past month, they did not hate him. All of them knew that if they were in Lin Dong's shoes, they would absolutely not dare to show up at all. After all, the Devil Cliff Empire was no kind-hearted Buddha. Based on how they operated, once Lin Dong showed up, his life would immediately be in danger. This meant certain death, hence, unless he was a fool, no one would expect him to show up for some acquaintances. However, what shook Missouri T and the rest to the very core was that Lin Dong showed up in the end. It was difficult to explain how great a blow had been dealt to Mo Ti and the rest's hearts when they saw the rather wiry figure appear. Yet, one could deduce the state of their hearts by the redness in the eyes of these men that were as tough as nails. The figure that sudden appeared also drew the attention of the elite Devil Cliff Empire practitioners. Immediately, streams of potent Yuan power erupted as all of them turned their vigilant and cold gazes towards the intruder. However, in the face of these imposing Devil Cliff Empire practitioners, Lin Dong did not display the slightest bit of emotion. He looked at the steel cages in front of him as he slowly stretched out his hand and clenched, crack. As Lin Dong clenched his fist, the black steel cage slowly started to squirm. Evidently, this steel cage was made from a rather unique material as it emitted a faint glow while trying to struggle against his massive strength. However, in the end, it finally exploded with a loud bang. After he casually destroyed the steel cage, Lin Dong's somewhat cold eyes finally shifted to Li Pan, who was standing in the middle of the arena, before a flat voice sounded out, "Be a good boy and ask Chenmu to step out." From start to finish, Lin Dong had never paid any attention to Li Pan. This total disregard first caused Li Pan to be stunned, before his face slowly became twisted. You would risk yourself for your friends. TCH, even I can't help but feel touched by your righteousness. While his face twitched, Li Pan stared venomously at Lin Dong before laughing in a weird manner. Nonetheless, you must pay a hefty price in return for your righteousness. That's fine as well. Since you have shown up, you'll have to stay. I will prepare a special steel cage for you. Lin Dong glanced at him before turning to look at Mo Ti and the rest and asked, "Are you all right?" "Brother Lin Dong, thanks." Mo Ti cupped his fist before he solemnly bowed at Lin Dong, while rich gratitude gushed into his eyes. Standing aside, Tang Xian and Liu Xian's expression were complicated as they cupped their fists and bowed at Lin Dong. The fact that Lin Dong was willing to show up in order to save them had vastly exceeded their expectations. After all, they were keenly aware of the risks that the latter would be taking. The Mo Ling trio did not return to Yang City after you disappeared. They must have detected the hostility from Devil Cliff Empire and chose to leave secretly. As he spoke, Lin Dong slowly walked forward. His eyes scanned across his surroundings. However, when he failed to detect Chenmu's presence, he immediately furrowed his brows. No need to bother. Senior Chenmu is not in Yang City, and I am running this place. As if he knew who Lin Dong was looking for, Li Pan gently smiled before he said, "You should be thankful that Senior Chenmu is not here. Else, you would not even have the guts to stand there. I know you have other trump cards besides your soul puppet. It's fine with me. Today, I have the time to play with your soul puppet. However, you will have to deal with 4 half-step to Nirvana stage practitioners on your own." Li Pan smiled at Lin Dong. Behind him, 4 figures slowly walked out as they looked down on Lin Dong. Their auras were evidently at half-step to Nirvana stage, and they were much more powerful than Mo Ti and the rest, who were also at half-step to Nirvana stage. Evidently, they had a more powerful cultivation base. I will leave him to you guys. Li Pan sat down on his stone chair, before he started sadistically at Lin Dong. His expression looked just like a cat that was teasing a mouse. He was curious to find out what other tricks Lin Dong had up his sleeves. Crack. Those 4 half-step to Nirvana stage practitioners released an odd laugh before they cracked their knuckles. Without further ado, their feet stomped against the ground before their powers gushed out. Then, 4 figures flashed across the sky like arrows before they flew towards Lin Dong. When those 4 half-step to Nirvana stage practitioners flew over, a vicious glint flashed across Mo Ti and the rest's eyes. However, just as they were about to make a move, standing in front of them, Lin Dong calmly stretched out his palm before he swiped his palm. The atmosphere seemed to have frozen in this instant. Regardless Mo Ti or Liu Yuan, everyone's faces froze. Moments later, exclaims sounded out. None of them had expected that Lin Dong was actually able to send 4 half-step to Nirvana stage practitioner flying with a single slap. Furthermore, what bewildered them the most was that Lin Dong did not use a tinge of Yuan power. This sight was truly peculiar, mental energy. Li Pan, who had just sat down on a stone chair in anticipation of a good show, finally revealed a solemn expression on his hideous face. As he stared at Lin Dong, his words slowly echoed out, perhaps others failed to recognize it. However, when Lin Dong previously swiped his palm, he could clearly feel an extremely formidable mental energy that was powerful enough to suffocate a person, gushing out from within his body. His mental energy shockwaves have far exceeded that of an ordinary soul symbol master. Have you advanced to heavenly symbol master? Li Pan's voice suddenly turned coarse, as he stared grimly at Lin Dong and asked. In this instance, he had finally realized why Lin Dong actually dared to show up. That was because he had absolute confidence in himself. After all, a heavenly symbol master is an existence that could rival a Nirvana stage practitioner. His originally playful and sadistic heart began to slowly sink. It seems like this situation was slowly spinning out of control. Heavenly symbol master. Li Pan did not try to conceal his words. Therefore, everyone around him clearly heard what he said. Immediately, all of their pupils shrunk. After all, everyone in this arena was clearly aware of what that rank indicates. It indicated that Lin Dong possessed the qualifications to rival a Nirvana stage practitioner. In a manner of speaking, he could be considered as a Nirvana stage practitioner. When they thought of his point, Mo Ti, Liu Yuan and the rest felt slightly nauseous. In merely a month's time, Lin Dong's strength had undergone a revolutionary change. As they stared at that lean figure, everyone's heart was filled with admiration and respect. This was their respect towards power. Unknowingly, it seems like this teenager, who was merely at advanced manifestation stage when he first arrived at Yang City, had actually stealthily left them eating his dust. He must be destined to shine in this ancient battlefield. I was wondering why you dared to appear. It turns out that you had something up your sleeve. However, though he felt fearful, Li Pan did not panic. He icily stared at Lin Dong while these words slowly left his mouth. There were many Devil Cliff Empire practitioners at this side, and among them were 2 quasi-Nirvana practitioners, with strengths comparable to Liu Yuan and the rest. In addition, there were some half-step to Nirvana practitioners, overall an extremely luxurious lineup. Even a heavenly symbol master like Lin Dong plus the soul puppet in his hands would be unable to shake them. As if they had sensed how thorny a problem Lin Dong was, wind noises suddenly rang out in the area. Subsequently, some black-clothed figures appeared on the plaza with their cold gazes vigilantly locked onto Lin Dong. This lineup caused the onlookers' hearts to be alarmed. As expected, this Devil Cliff Empire was a rather powerful existence even among the high-rank empires. Mo Tai and the rest, who were originally astonished by the formidable mental energy Lin Dong had displayed, regained their wits at this moment. Following which, their expressions changed gently when they witnessed this scene. Lin Dong, if you're smart, hand over the ancient secret key, and we can erase the grudge between you and my Devil Cliff Empire. Li Pan stood up, darkly staring at Lin Dong as he slowly spoke. I know that you have already advanced to become a heaven symbol master. However, let me warn you, this still poses no threat at all to my Devil Cliff Empire. There is no lack of Nirvana practitioners among the empires that have fallen to our Devil Cliff Empire. Li Pan's words were clearly a little less contemptuous compared to before. However, the threat within them was instead much greater. His words were very easily understood. They meant to warn Lin Dong that advancing to Heavenly Symbol Master level did not indicate that he had the qualifications to negotiate with their Devil Cliff Empire. Since they had eliminated even Nirvana stage practitioners before, taking care of Lin Dong would not be a difficult matter, Whether you want to become friends or enemies with my Devil Cliff Empire hinges on your reply. Li Pan declared in an indifferent manner. Li Pan's face twitched with malevolence, obviously completely outraged by Lin Dong. From Li Pan's point of view, even if Lin Dong had truly advanced to become a heavenly symbol master, he did not have the qualifications to speak to Li Pan in such a manner. Bang. Thousand Beast Fist. A muffled explosion sounded out. The crowd watched as Li Pan's figure shot out like an arrow as his fist flew forward, instantly exploding the air. Vigorous without equal yuan power swept outwards, condensing into a stampede of beasts, which roared as they charged towards Lin Dong. The power of this attack was rather astonishing. Every demonic beast made from yuan power contained a terrifying undulation that was enough to destroy a half-stepped Nirvana practitioner. With such a number of beasts gathered together, even the expression of a quasi-Nirvana stage practitioner like Liu Yuan changed tremendously. Lin Dong's figure did not move at all. While he watched Li Pan's attack, a burning expression arose in his eyes. He did not summon his blood soul puppet. The current him very much wanted to personally test how powerful his mental energy had grown after advancing to Heavenly Symbol Master. The inside of his Niwen palace, that had become a mini-world, started to churn at this moment as if a gale was forming. The sky above the plaza suddenly darkened as a strong wind blew past. Everyone could feel terrifying mental energy spread out across the area. Break. A bright light shined in Lin Dong's eyes. His hand grabbed out as a hurricane started to form within his palm, directly transforming into a hurricane hand which mercilessly flew towards the stampeding beasts made of yuan power. Bang, bang, bang. Low explosion noises continuously echoed. Wherever the hurricane hand went, yuan power demonic beasts were completely blown apart. In addition, even the ground broke as cracks formed due to the sweeping hurricane. As they watched Lin Dong's almost effortless move, everyone in the area could not help but gasp once again. Was this the power of a heaven symbol master? Transforming mental energy into wind and then into a palm attack. Such level of power was indeed extremely formidable. As yuan power was blown apart, Li Pan was pushed back several steps, while his complexion turned ashen. He never expected that Lin Dong's mental energy would be this powerful. He had been lucky when he advanced to the Nirvana stage, plus the Nirvana pills he had used was only a mere 100,000. Therefore, though Li Pan was ranked number 1 among those who had not successfully reached Nirvana stage, he was definitely ranked amongst the last compared to fellow Nirvana stage practitioners. Even so, he believed that there would be no problems fighting with a recently crowned Heavenly Symbol Master Lin Dong. Yet, this scene made him understand that he seemed to have underestimated Lin Dong. I don't believe a brat like you that has just reached Heavenly Symbol Master will be able to utilize mental energy to such a level. Li Pan sternly shouted. His hand clenched as a flickering bright light appeared within. His figure moved, transforming into numerous after-images that swept towards Lin Dong like layers upon layers of waves. Wind Lightning Fist. Lin Dong floated above the wind and lightning. Soon after, his hand abruptly slapped out. Immediately, the incomparably berserk lightning and wind swiftly squirmed, condensing into a humongous palm of light under numerous astonished gazes. This light palm was not made from yuan power, but completely formed from pure lightning and wind, though there was admittedly powerful mental energy wrapped around it. This was a style that was completely different from yuan power. Bang. The wind lightning palm formed as Lin Dong's eyes abruptly turned cold. Without the slightest bit of hesitation, the palm furiously descended upon Li Pan below. Action boom. Before the wind lightning palm landed, there was already an enormous depression on the plaza. Afterward, a resplendent light palm that engraved itself into Li Pan's shocked eyes brought with it the momentum of wind and lightning as it viciously slammed down. Under the wind lightning light palm, Li Pan wore an extremely serious expression. He could sense the terrifying energy contained within the wind lightning palm, and he did not dare to be the least bit negligent. His hands abruptly clenched before dazzling golden light abruptly burst out from his body. It was as if his entire body was made of gold at this moment. Nirvana golden body, the mark of a Nirvana practitioner. In the face of such a powerful attack from Lin Dong, Li Pan had been forced to completely activate his Nirvana golden body. Golden light flowing, Li Pan did not hesitate at all as frightening yuan power frantically condensed on his fists before he punched out. There was nothing fancy about this fist, but the undulations contained within were powerful enough to heavily injure a quasi-nirvana stage practitioner like Liu Yuan. Boom. Under the attention of countless individuals, the golden first directly clashed against the humongous wind lightning palm. Immediately, a loud and piercing sound echoed across the plaza. Bang! As the loud noise resounded, berserk undulations also spread outwards. Ripples which could be seen with the naked eye swept out, directly turning the stone stalls in the plaza into countless fine fragments, while cracks swiftly extended on the ground. A cloud of dust spread out from the center of the plaza, while everyone nearby quickly retreated back. All of them knew that if even they were a half-step to Nirvana stage practitioner, if they were sucked into that mess, they would most likely be killed. Boom. Action as the dust slowly settled, while the crowd eagerly awaited the outcome, a hideous figure quickly shot out from within. Furthermore, each time his foot touched the ground below will be blown into dust. The crowd immediately turned to look at that hideous-looking figure before their pupils shrunk. That was because that hideous-looking figure was actually Li Pan from Devil Cliff Empire. This scene immediately caused a series of exclaims to sound out from within the crowd. Amidst the commotion from the crowd, Li Pan's face was steely green yet with a tinge of fear. Previously, even after he actually executed Nirvana Gold Body, he still lost out to Lin Dong's powerful palm attack. Furthermore, the instant their palms collided, he could clearly feel a savage lighting force wind penetrate every pore of his body, causing him immense pain. That fellow has just advanced to Heavenly Symbol Master. How can his mental energy be this formidable? Li Pan's expression changed drastically. Evidently, that previous bout had caused waves to stir in his heart. It seems like your Nirvana stage is not as powerful. Outside of the arena, Mo Ti and the rest were extremely shocked by this sight. None of them had expected that this Nirvana stage practitioner, who can practically dictate their lives, was rendered completely useless in front of Lin Dong. Boom. A deep voice sounded out in the arena as Li Pan was once again blown back by Lin Dong's powerful thunder palm. However, this time around, he was evidently wounded. As he attempted to forcefully stabilize his body, he immediately vomited out a mouthful of fresh blood, and there were actually lightning sparks contained within his crimson red blood. Evidently, Li Pan's body had been invaded by a large amount of lightning power. Li Pan wiped off the blood trails on his mouth, and his expression looked extremely twisted. He stared right at Lin Dong, who looked down on him from above, before the rage inside his heart finally overwhelmed his mind. Immediately, he shouted out venomously, "Set up the formation." After facing him directly, he clearly knew that he was not Lin Dong's opponent. Therefore, it was impossible for him to fight with him alone. The other elite Devil Cliff Empire practitioner were already shocked by this fight. However, they were no ordinary faction. Immediately, they quickly calmed themselves down, before a series of deep roars erupted. Following which, all of them quickly retreated, before they formed into a large formation in order to deal with Lin Dong. Snort. Hovering in mid-air, when Lin Dong saw this sight, he coldly snorted instead. There were many elite Devil Cliff Empire practitioners, and all of them were fairly skilled. If he allowed them to set up a large formation, they may perhaps become a major problem for him. This was naturally a situation that he did not want to see. Therefore, Lin Dong immediately waved his sleeves, before a fiery red figure lightning quick flew out. In a flash, it dashed into the crowd of elite Devil Cliff Empire practitioners. Following which, anyone who touched its palm attack were all blown away before they vomited blood. Based on its actions, it seemed just like a wolf inside a sheep pen. Be careful, that is a soul puppet. When he saw his formation rapidly breaking down, Li Pan's expression changed drastically. Just as he was about to step out and block it, the ground beneath him suddenly cracked open. Following which, countless sharp mud columns wrapped with formidable mental energy shot out from the ground, just like poisonous snakes. Mental energy was not as vigorous as Yuan power. However, it possessed unique properties, which allowed it to control the Yuan power between heaven and earth. This proved to be a major headache for Li Pan, and he did not dare to underestimate him, as he could only avoid his attacks hideously. Just as Li Pan was being forced into a sorry state, the other elite Devil Cliff Empire practitioner were either wounded or killed by Lin Dong's soul puppet. In the end, only the combined effort of two pseudo-Nirvana stage practitioner was able to barely halt the Blood Soul Puppets massacre. However, judging from their pale expressions, it was evident that they could not last for long. The Devil Cliff Empire men, who were dominating Yang City, were actually being forced into such a sorry state by Lin Dong and his Blood Soul Puppet alone. This sight completely shocked countless onlookers. I am curious to find out what your Devil Cliff Empire can do to me after I kill you. Lin Dong's expression was grim as he took a step forward. Following which, a long spear suddenly materialized in his hand, before he jerked his arm and viciously flung it towards Li Pan. Outside the arena, countless people sucked in a breath of cold air as they stared at Lin Dong, who was overflowing with killing intent. Evidently, they had never expected that Lin Dong actually dared to kill a Nirvana practitioner from Devil Cliff Empire. As he stared at that mental energy spear accompanied by an explosive splitting wind sound, Li Pan's pupils shrunk. Immediately, a golden glow erupted on his body. With a deep growl, he suddenly stretched out his golden palms, before he forcefully grabbed onto that mental energy spear. That long spear caused sparks to emerge on his palm, while an intense pain spread out. Nonetheless, thanks to his all-out effort, that lethal spear finally stopped while it was merely inches away from his chest. When he saw that he had intercepted Lin Dong's lethal attack, Li Pan finally heaved a sigh of relief. Promptly, a poisonous glint flashed in his eyes. After he left Yang City, he must gather more men and hunt Lin Dong down like a dog. In the arena, several pairs of eyes stared in shock at the mental energy spear that protruded from Li Pan's chest. As they watched the crimson-red blood gushing out continuously from that bloody wound, for a moment, everyone's minds descended into chaos. Lin Dong had actually killed Li Pan. This shocking news resounded in their hearts, before some of their legs turned into jelly. Li Pan was no ordinary individual. He was a Nirvana practitioner from the Devil Cliff Empire. The Devil Cliff Empire typically acted in a tyrannical fashion, and their methods were extremely cruel. Therefore, even some high-rank empires did not dare to offend them. Yet, Lin Dong had actually brazenly slaughtered Li Pan. Everyone in the arena was keenly aware of commotion this would cause once news of this matter got out. Based on the Devil Cliff Empire's modus operandi, there was no way they would let Lin Dong off the hook. Therefore, since Lin Dong had thoroughly offended the Devil Cliff Empire, he would have an extremely miserable time in the future. None of them had any doubts about this. Even though Lin Dong was able to rival a Nirvana stage practitioner and possessed a soul puppet, it was not enough to allow him to withstand the Devil Cliff Empire's rage. This fellow was simply too audacious. Amidst the silence, Lin Dong's face remained emotionless as he stared at Li Pan's growing pupils, that were quickly losing all signs of life. Thanks to the cooperation of Lin Dong and his soul puppet, Li Pan had taken a truly lethal hit. Previously, when that mental energy spear penetrated his body, its savage energy had completely destroyed all the inner channels in his body. In fact, even his life force was now gone. Bloody bubbles continuously splurted out from Li Pan's mouth. Meanwhile, his nearly lifeless eyes stared venomously at Lin Dong, before a twisted and hideous smile flashed across his face. When Lin Dong saw him smile, he immediately narrowed his eyes. However, before he could retreat, Li Pan's body started to swell up in a peculiar fashion, before he finally exploded with a bang and turned into a bloody mist. Meanwhile, a bloody light shot out from the bloody mist and flew into Lin Dong's body. Action, Lin Dong, you cannot escape. In the future, you will be hunted down by my Devil Cliff Empire, just like a dog with its tail between its legs. Ha ha. While a bloody mist filled the horizon, Li Pan's hideous smile faintly ricocheted across this domain. Moments later, it finally dissipated gradually. Lin Dong's expression gently darkened, while his mental energy quickly scanned across his body. Finally, it stopped at a spot within his body before he discovered an extremely small red seal. This is a unique tracking method, and it allows the Devil Cliff Empire to locate you. Little Martin's voice sounded out inside his heart. Can it be broken? Lin Dong asked. It's a little difficult. That fellow sacrificed his remaining life force to create this seal, and it is not going to be easy to dispel it. You will need some time to do so. Little Martin solemnly said. Lin Dong gently furrowed his brows before he promptly stretched his back. As he lifted his head and stared at his serene surroundings, he realized that everyone was staring at him in shock. Some of them had awe in their eyes, while others had a trace of pity. When the other elite Devil Cliff Empire practitioners saw that Li Pan had been killed, they lost the courage to stay on as they immediately scattered off. When Lin Dong saw this sight, he could not be bothered to stop them. After all, these people posed little threat towards him. Furthermore, it would also impossible for him to conceal the fact that he had killed Li Pan. In mere seconds, all the Devil Cliff Empire practitioners had fled. The overlords of this city had been completely crushed by Lin Dong alone. Since there is already a grudge between us, there is no need to care if it is a small one or a large one. Even if I let Li Pan off today, the Devil Cliff Empire will not forgive me. In that case, I should remove one of their lethal tooth first. Lin Dong gently smiled as he spoke casually. It was as if who he killed previously was not a Nirvana stage practitioner, but merely an insignificant demonic beast. Right now, Mo Ti had finally recovered most of his senses. When he heard his words, he gently nodded his head. Since Lin Dong had obtained the mysterious ancient key, just based on this fact alone, the Devil Cliff Empire would not let him off. In that case, there was no need for him to show mercy to them. What do you plan to do next? Mo Ti sheepishly asked. He always felt a little guilty for causing so much trouble for Lin Dong. The ancient battlefield is so vast. Do you worry that I will have nowhere to go? Though the Devil Cliff Empire is strong, they are not powerful enough to rule the entire land. Lin Dong smiled, before he turned around and told Mo Ti, "You guys will be leaving Yang City soon, right? However, I will not be joining you." When he saw Lin Dong's smile, Mo Ti turned silent. He knew that perhaps in the future, Lin Dong would be continuously hunted down by the Devil Cliff Empire. Therefore, he would definitely have a rough time ahead of him. Even though he was worried about him, Mo Ti knew that if he stuck around Lin Dong, he would be of little aid towards him. In fact, he would only be a burden, as he would distract Lin Dong by forcing him to worry about his well-being. Brother Lin Dong, words cannot express my gratitude. In the future, if I have the opportunity to do so, I will definitely repay this favor. Mo Ti solemnly bowed at Lin Dong. Then, without further ado, he waved his hand. Following which, Tang Xian and the rest turned around before they left. They were planning to leave Yang City. As they stared at Mo Ti and the rest, the crowd surrounding them felt a little hollow. Yang City was a pretty good resting point. However, due to the events that occurred, it forced them to leave. Liu Yuan and Ling Ji glanced at one another before they both secretly sighed. Then, they turned to look at Lin Dong. The latter was also smiling back at them. Based on his suave reaction, it seemed like he was not the slightest bit worried even after he offended Devil Cliff Empire. They were rather envious of his attitude. If Lin Dong could handle the Devil Cliff Empire, he would have a fairly renowned reputation in the ancient battlefield, and he may even be chosen by those super sects. At that time, he would be like a carp jumping out of a pond to become a dragon. Let's go. We should leave Yang City as well. This is no man land and we should not linger on. Liu Yuan and Ling Ji instructed their men before they bowed at Lin Dong. Then, they led their men and left. Chen Mu gently furrowed his eyes. Since the mysterious ancient key had ended up with Lin Dong, and he was currently missing, the only way to force him to appear was to capture his three buddies from the same empire. However, even after searching for a long while, they had not accomplished much. After all, the Mo Ling trio were extremely slippery, and even though the Devil Cliff Empire had far-reaching limbs, they were unable to capture them. Just as Chen Mu furrowed his brows, the glowing mirror suddenly flew out from within his Chinquan bag. As it hovered behind him, a dazzling glow erupted, before it actually transformed into a glowing light. When that glowing light appeared, even Chen Mu's eyelids twitched. Behind him, several of them quickly bowed down respectfully. "Li Pan has been killed," a casual voice sounded out from within that glowing light. When he heard those words, Chen Mu's pupils instantly shrunk. Promptly, as if he realized something, he solemnly asked, "Is it that Lin Dong?" "Yes." That glowing light nodded its head, before it spoke casually. "All along, no one dared to kill our Devil Cliff Empire's members. Furthermore, this time around, they had actually killed a Nirvana stage practitioner. There is no need to care about those three fellows. When Li Pan died, he left a blood seal in that fellow's body. All of you should be able to use your secret arts to detect it. I want you to head over now and return with the mysterious ancient key and that kid's head. That kid has advanced to Heavenly Symbol Master, and he is fairly skilled. In order to circumvent any unforeseen accidents, Lei Shi will accompany you." When he heard that name, Chen Mu's lips twitched. Promptly, a hideous expression gushed into his eyes, Lin Dong, you are really daring. He was anxious to see just how terrified Lin Dong would be after he saw that fellow. In this region, there were not many empires, or elites that could curb the Devil Cliff Empire's infamy and dominance. Lin Dong's capabilities were far from these group of empires and elites. Therefore, the Devil Cliff Empire would be relentless in their hunt for Lin Dong. However, while everyone in the northwest region was in an uproar over Lin Dong's audacious action in offending the Devil Cliff Empire, the main character of the whole incident, Lin Dong, was deep within a mountain range, and he was blocking off all these information. This mountain range was located far away from the Yang city. The vastness of this mountain range certainly did not lose out to the Thunder Granite Valleys, and might even be bigger. This kind of massive mountain range was commonly seen in the ancient battlefield. At the same time, the amount of demonic beasts in these mountain ranges had reached a terrifying number. Even Nirvana stage practitioners had to stay vigilant in this kind of area. Lin Dong was sitting cross-leggedly, with both his eyes shut tight on the peak of a green valley that was in the mountain range steps. Strong waves of devouring power was gushing out from his body like a flash flood, devouring the heaven and earth's essence from his surroundings completely. After refinement, these essence became surging yuan power and flowed through limbs of Lin Dong, bringing about a vigorous and relaxed feeling to his body. This kind of silent training continued for another half an hour before Lin Dong slowly opened his tightly shut eyes. The flickering radiance in his eyes vanished quietly as a smile swept across his face. It had been 5 days since Lin Dong left the Yang city. Within these 5 days, most of his time was spent on training. Right now, he had become someone who was cut off from the rest of the world once again. Even though he was lonesome, he did not need to repress his devouring power anymore. Thus, his training efficiency had increased significantly as compared to the past. Given his current training speed, Lin Dong predicted that he could attack the half-step to Nirvana stage in a month's time. However, it was not issue of attacking the half-step to Nirvana stage that bothered Lin Dong, but rather, it was issue of how should he attack the Nirvana stage. After Lin Dong fought against Nirvana stage practitioners, he finally understood the significance of the amount of Nirvana pills used to attack the Nirvana stage. Given Lin Dong's current capabilities, the reason why he was able to defeat Li Pan was because the latter had only used 100,000 Nirvana pills when he attacked the Nirvana stage. As such, the Nirvana chi in Li Pan's could not match against an elite like Chen Mu. Lin Dong was able to defeat Li Pan easily, however, if he was to face Chen Mu, it would be far from easy. That was because Chen Mu used 500,000 Nirvana pills when he attacked the Nirvana stage. This amount of Nirvana pills allowed him to overshadow a Nirvana stage practitioner like Li Pan even before he passed the Nirvana tribulation. Naturally, after Lin Dong knew about the situation clearly, he did not want to end up like Li Pan after he reached Nirvana stage. This was like building a foundation. If he was able to get his fundamentals right, it would be beneficial for him in the future when he needs to attack the Nirvana stage. However, all these Nirvana pills. Lin Dong furrowed his eyebrows as he thought of another troublesome problem. Currently, he only had around 60,000 Nirvana pill. Approximately 1/2 of these Nirvana pills were from Li Pan's Qingquan bag. This amount was far from what Lin Dong had expected, still thinking hard about how to get more Nirvana pills. Little Martin appeared on Lin Dong's shoulder with a sly look on its face. Do you have a plan? Lin Dong asked while raising his eyebrows. Given his current strength, he could only tie with Chen Mu in a fight. Even though he possessed the Blood Soul Puppet, the enemies would not consist of only one Nirvana stage practitioner in Chen Mu. As for his last resort in summoning the ancient heavenly crocodile, he has only one shot. The ancient heavenly crocodile could definitely contend against a Nirvana stage practitioner that had passed the Nirvana tribulation. However, it would quite wasteful to use this last resort on such situation. You seem to underestimate your own capabilities. Little Martin laughed indifferently, as if it knew what Lin Dong was thinking. You possess a heavenly artifact called the Devouring Ancestral Symbol. In the past, you did not even display more than 1% of its power. However, the level of your mental energy has greatly increased now, and you can activate other powers as well. With the help of these abilities, Chen Mu will not be able to deal with you. We can start planning and lay an ambush for the Devil Cliff Empire. When that moment comes, we can get rid of them in one go and the rewards will be considerably huge. Get rid of them in one go. Even though Lin Dong was an individual with huge guts, he was still shocked by Little Martin's plan. However, he was not a timid person. As soon as he thought of the rewards, a blazing fury gushed through his eyes. If this plan was to succeed, the rewards he reaped would be extremely pleasing. Do you have confidence? Lin Dong asked softly while blinking his eyes. Hey, Grandpa Martin had plotted against all kinds of people in the past. It's not difficult to plot against this kind of worthless individuals, little Martin replied arrogantly. Upon seeing this, Lin Dong smiled as well. However, he still had some reservations in his heart. Little Martin might be very powerful in the past, but that was in the past after all. Actually, I can get rid of the tracking mark in your body. However, I think it will be best to use it as a guide for them. During this period of time, I will teach you a few other ways to use the devouring ancestral symbol. Currently, I think you are somewhat capable of activating some of its powers. This video will end here. Thank you for watching.